Crisis and Arbitrage. And today we have an incredible show for you guys. Yes, yes, yes. We have Isaiah Jackson. Y'all know him as Bitcoin Zay. Obviously, this is the Gentleman of Crypto's channel, right? So you should be very familiar with him. And Bless. Bless is not on with us today, but Zay is going to be taking the reins and just kind of getting us up to snuff on some of the visions that they have moving forward.
Yes, indeed. So thank you for being here. We are very honored to have you on with us today. Like she said, we wanted to get talking about some of the things that you said, the
Mm-hmm.
vision wise of. I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but if you want to give them a quick rundown of your of your
Your
resume,
resume. I
Hey,
would love
man.
for you to do that, just in case they aren't familiar. Some people join later, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
Mhm.
And you guys are almost 1,200 shows in.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
So you can
getting
have a
close.
great.
significant new core audience.
Oh yeah, so yeah. So let's start there. I mean, we have I'm co-host on the Gentleman of Crypto, Monday through Friday at 10ish, and we have, as it stands right now, we have the longest running show in Bitcoin history, and we've been going since 2017. And one of the I guess accomplishments and things that people know me for, Bitcoin in Black America, which is a book I wrote in 2019, and then the second edition, which is coming for Black History Month. Already started shipping out some for some sponsors and a few other people that have get early reads, but and remind me to send you all one too as well. But so Bitcoin in Black America, Bitcoin education has been my background for the last 10 years. And I'm also a consultant for the Wiser app, YZER, which is a Bitcoin and financial app where you can earn Bitcoin for learning about Bitcoin. So earn and learn. And it's funny, somebody, BK Crypto, just commented his resume long. Yeah,
Uh huh.
I'm gonna keep
Resume
it
long.
short because yeah, it's been a lot that's gone on. And then one of the things I'm most proud about is the Bitcoin Summer Camp, which we'll talk about later, and being able to teach not only kids at the middle school and high school level, but also at the college level. With the Wiser app, we're actually introducing. You all have an exclusive. The Wiser app. I just got off the phone with the CEO literally 30 minutes ago,
Mhm.
and we are introducing the Bitcoin diploma, which is Me Premier Bitcoin, which is kind of based in the global south. They have 75 schools that have the Bitcoin diploma in the global south, and we're bringing it to America now. So
Oh,
you have an opportunity to learn about Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, also get a Bitcoin diploma, and then use that pipeline to work for Bitcoin companies or crypto companies with that information. So we're literally taking, kids we're trying to start with kids at the age of 10, 9, 10 years old, and then bring them all the way up into adulthood, because this is what we're doing it for, right? I mean,
right.
we
Right.
both have kids, we understand long term, what are we really building for, so that's what I'm really most proud of, is the Bitcoin summer camp and being able to teach kids in that way. So yeah, long resume, but the main thing is I'm just a Bitcoin educator. I'm just a pleb like everybody else, just a regular guy from Charlotte, man. I just working hard.
Okay, wow, that is a lot. And there's a lot of stuff in there that we didn't know. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that we asked you to kind of
Yeah.
go in and give us the resume. Piggybacking on the Bitcoin diploma, because
Mhm.
one of the things I was going to ask you is, because you and Bless are heavy in education,
Mhm.
adoption in the United States, and we've talked about this on our show, adoption in the United States isn't as high as you would think it would be in a Western country.
Right.
So I just wanted some insight from you to say, what are some of the things that you think are either lacking or need to be implemented in order to really get Bitcoin adoption up higher to where it should be for
Mhm.
a first world country, especially one whose currency is going to shit.
Say that again. I mean, people
Hit
need to
people in the
understand. It's over
back.
with. People, I mean, our currency was built to fail, and I mean, damn, we're about to have a civil war here in a second. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening. But for education, I come at it two main ways. So I come from a family of educators. I was a high school teacher when I first got out of college. I was a high school teacher. I taught computer engineering. I was 23 teaching. I had a 19 and a 20-year-old in my class. Like I was.
Mm.
Young as hell, teaching. So I come from an education background. My mother, aunt, grandmother, uncle, they're all in education. And one of the main things that I've seen being on the inside, being able to see how education system works, is that bureaucracy sucks, man. It's so
Yeah.
slow. It takes forever for things to change. I mean, they just started getting financial education in schools just in the last 5 years. That's how slow they.
Right.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know about you, but I didn't have any financial education when I was in high school, middle
No.
school, anything, nothing.
No.
And it doesn't help when you have parents, who work a lot, and they're not going to teach. They're not sitting me down with the bills and explaining like they don't know anything about that. They're just like, well, just pay it and go. So from an education standpoint, being on the inside, it's kind of hard to get it into public schools. However, we found a roundabout way to teach kids so that they can basically do the promo for us. So one of the ways is the Bitcoin Summer Camp. Bigger than that is the Bitcoin Diploma, which I described. And then eventually we'll start a full-fledged, which we already have now, after school with Innovative Learning, which is my family. We have we actually have a 501c3 called Innovative Learning. So we have after school summer camp, and that's been going on for 21 years now. So
Wow.
we've been in the education space for a while. So how do we get Bitcoin to the students? We go outside of the education, after schools, summer camps, apps where they can learn on their own free time. And kids are the best promo because if they really like something, they tell everybody, and then including their parents, including their teachers. And one of the main things we're seeing is that when we approach a lot of colleges about implementing a Bitcoin curriculum, sort of like Cornell. If you don't know, Cornell got the first Bitcoin major. It just came like 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've been working on it for a couple years now, but it's starting to pick up because kids are requesting it. They started their own Bitcoin clubs. They started their own crypto clubs or blockchain clubs, whatever, and they started requesting it. Like, yeah, why aren't we learning more about this? Why is this new technology booming right now? And we don't know anything about it. So in an age where everybody has $1,000 computer in their pocket, we're like, well, let's just bring it straight to the kids. We'll have apps, we have summer camp, we'll have after school, we'll have a way for Bitcoin to infiltrate, because that's how most people are influenced. You can't really teach an old dog new tricks. I've been teaching adults for a decade now, and most people, they just don't want to learn anything new, or if they do, they take their time. They don't have a lot of time to learn it, whatever. But one thing I've learned with kids is they got all the time. They may not have any money, but they got all the time in the world.
They ain't got no money. They
They ain't
got
got
all
no
the
money.
time.
Yeah, it's always one or the other. You either an adult, you got money, but you don't have the time, or you're a kid, you got all the time in the world and no money. So I'm taking that aspect of it and capitalizing on the time that they do have to show them Bitcoin education, so that they can not only learn themselves but teach others, influence their parents as well. We're even thinking about introducing an adult class for the parents of the students. So any student that's enrolled in the summer camp or the after school, your parents will get a free class as well, so that they can learn the same. Because some of the concepts, when I do summer camps, some of the concepts, some of the parents will be chaperones. They'll be like, you need to be teaching adults this. I didn't know the Federal Reserve did that. I didn't realize what inflation does to your wealth. I had no clue about how the banking system was set up, and purposely over time in cycles it crashes on purpose, and why Bitcoin is needed. So these are things that I was like, all right, I can get it in this way. And that's how you have to do it. You got to find creative ways. Like I said, I've been doing this a decade now. You got to find creative ways because it's not standard yet. The standard, perfect way that you have to put it into education. But I do have a little bit of advantage. My mother, she's been writing curriculums for 20 years now. Probably, I don't know, 40 years now of teaching overall. So she has a good knowledge base, and she, I've learned from her and just applied it to Bitcoin. So somebody, I know that they said, am I looking to I guess, let me see what they said, franchise my lessons. So me and King, we had our Bitcoin and crypto course, which of course a lot of people took. Thank you all for that and learning wise. But as far as franchising it, this is the form of franchising it through innovative learning.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin Summer Camp, as well as with Wiser and the Bitcoin Diploma. This is the form of franchising. So getting that out there to have a standard of Bitcoin education where people can learn, and we don't have to worry about going through the system, so to say. I mean, this is Bitcoin. Who goes through the system anymore, man? We coming through the tunnels, we coming through the roof, we coming through the windows. We can't go through the front door. We'll find a way.
That's awesome. Can I just ask one more question, baby?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Same question, but initially, how we came to know you, and this is long before we were on your channel, was through Bitcoin and Black America. I think we saw
Yeah.
him on
So yeah, that's when I first got um knowledge of your book when I
introduced to
seen
you.
you
Yeah,
on Max Kaiser,
it's Max
the
Kaiser.
Oh
Kaiser
yeah.
Report.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
we saw him on Boys. I saw the
Boy,
interview
Oh,
with
yeah.
him
okay.
on
Yes.
Boys
Uh-huh.
Watkins, I think.
And so I was always intrigued. I said, "Oh man, it's got to." And then I came, like you said, your backstory about being an educator
Mm-hmm.
first, and then learning about Bitcoin and all that. And I said, "Man, this is really interesting." I started trying to tell people that we
Mm-hmm.
knew about you, and like
Mhm.
you said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, so it's just hard to really hammer it home.
Yeah.
But for the younger people though, like we have younger sons, we were able to
Mhm.
get it home to them, and they're real interested in Bitcoin, and then all their other little altcoins that they like to tell me about. But when you do your education, is it hands on? When I say hands on, like in person, or is it a lot of it
Virtual.
virtual?
So about 90% is in person. I've just
Okay.
started slowly migrating it to virtual. Outside of the course me and King had, everything has been in person. And then the summer camp that we did last year was the first time we had online students as well. So we had 50 in person, and then we had 50 online. And I'm trying to move towards that with things like the Wiser app, because if you can just get on your phone and learn about Bitcoin, you're learning from me essentially with the curriculum. But at the same time, you're able to get the information without me having to stand over you. But I often see, I've noticed that in person, most of the time it resonates more, because if they're getting it straight from you and they're getting their questions answered straight from you, it resonates a lot more. I don't care what anybody says. I love technology, but I'm an in-person type person. Like I'm,
Right.
I'm in the field, man. Like I think that's where I got a lot of respect from some of the Bitcoin OGs, is that I'm going to the places they won't go. I'm in Opelika. I'm in Southeast DC and Berry Farms. I'm in East Atlanta at the Texaco that Gucci Man and OJ was standing at. I'm in I'm in South Central. I'm in Compton. I'm in in Houston, and all these places that are basically looked over. I'm in strip clubs. Like, I'm the only person I think that's ever had a strip club event, a book tour event at a strip club. Like I'm going to where most people are like, I don't want to deal with those people. We'll figure it out later. They'll catch on later. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do it the opposite. I'm gonna go work from the ground up, because that's what this movement is for. It's organic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
These are the people we're doing this for. Like, what are we talking about? So I think the fact that I do this in person is actually, it resonates more education wise. However, when you want to scale up, you got to have online presence, and nobody knows that more than us. So and it's funny, Reggie just said, I don't see you in Brooklyn. Brook-
Yeah.
Brooklyn, what's funny, I was scheduled to go to Brooklyn 2021, but the place that
COVID.
we were doing it at, I wasn't vaccinated, so they wouldn't let me in. So I
Yeah, New
actually,
York is heavy on that. They don't
man,
let
I
it.
left. I was supposed to be in New York for 6 days. I left after 48 hours. I was so pissed off. I couldn't get food. I couldn't I couldn't do anything.
You can
So
move
I was
around.
like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna head out, man. I'm gonna go ahead and try this again at a later date. So now Brooklyn is definitely gonna be on for the book tour this time around.
All right, represent New York. I'm from New York, so
Yeah, she's a New Yorker. She's from I
here we
believe
go.
uh,
I'm from
Queens.
Long Island.
From Long Island.
Queens.
All right,
Wow.
I'm from Long Island, right? I was
cool.
born in Queens.
She's
He
born
All right.
always trying to shout out Left Rack City. I was born there,
That's
but I
right.
grew
Yeah.
up in
You
that
from
portion.
Norris? That's where Norris from,
Yeah,
right?
From
Left
that's
Flank.
Norris Hood,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Here,
like telling people that either.
yeah, here in Miami with me, and he talk about left rack all the time.
All
Left
the
rack.
time. I know. That's why I don't.
Oh yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I
All,
don't.
all my family is Harlem based.
Oh, where they
Uh,
from Harlem?
yeah, yeah. 127th to St. Nick's projects. So that's all. Like half my family is from this. So my dad's
So
side.
how you end
So,
up in North Carolina?
so my pops, he went to college in Charlotte, Johnson C.
Okay.
Smith. That's where he met my mom, and
okay.
went from there. And I just ended up staying in Charlotte. But yeah, I mean, technically, I was supposed to grow up in New York. Almost did. But my mom had other plans. She was like, "Man, I ain't raising no children in Harlem." I was like,
Smart.
and,
She's smart as
and
hell.
in the 90s, she was like, "Man, we good right here in Charlotte, man. You can go visit." So I go visit for the summer, see my grandmother, see my cousins, and all that, which is cool. But yeah, a lot of good people in New York love it, and that's the only place, like I said, where I was super excited, and they just was like, "Nah, you can't come in here, player." But it's all
Yeah,
good.
during COVID, yep, they had that locked all the way. It's real dense. It's like
Mhm.
densely populated.
Yeah.
The subway is a dimension that is outside of this world. The stuff that
Mhm.
happened on the subways, they got to do whatever they can to lock that all the way down. So people,
Mhm.
they were dying in droves there. So I get it,
Mhm.
but I don't miss New York. So I'm gonna let y'all know. Funny
Yeah,
story, right? New York's so
I'm done.
rough. On my first day with hubby,
Okay.
we walk out the dorms and he go around to the passenger side and he opened the passenger door. I said, "You want me to drive?" He was like, "What kind of niggas are you dating that don't open the door for you?" I said, "Oh, you were opening the door for me." No, they don't do that. That's how bad New York is.
Oh,
I was embarrassed as hell on the ride.
that's hilarious. Oh man, that is hilarious. Oh yeah,
Then we get to the restaurant. He go to pull my chair out. So when he went and grabbed the chair, I walked around. So then he walked back around. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I got to get you out of New York. That's what I got to do. I got to get you out
good
of
call.
New York.
Good call,
I don't
boss.
know who you've been dating, but I got to get you out of there."
And
Gotta
and,
get
and 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 also funny is our first date was at Chili's, which apparently is not okay anymore, right?
I was 19. I
crazy.
didn't care about
What
that.
I
happened?
say, I
You can't even eat. You can't even eat regular food anymore. You can't go to Chili's,
was like, oh
Applebee's,
wow.
Cheesecake
I was
Factory,
19.
Olive
He did
Garden.
all the stuff on the list they said not to do. He drove me to a faraway place to
Mm-hmm.
Chili's. There was a
Yep.
third thing you weren't supposed to do on that list. But
And
we
it
married
and it
23
broke the
years.
bank. It broke the bank. I was a young man. It broke me
Yeah.
off, man. But
Oh,
you know,
we
Well,
barely
that's
had
that's
two
that's one
strikes.
thing. That's one thing I've noticed is that all the people that are for that type of dating style, they're not married. All the married people I talked to, their first date, yeah, we went to this little fish joint out back and had a good time. Like they was like,
Everything on the list.
yeah,
We did
none of that stuff
everything on
matters.
that
You know
list.
what I mean? Because the marriage, all
23
the married
years
people.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Got adults
Yeah,
living here not paying rent.
oh, that's
I'll
right.
talk to you about that another day. It'll
And
I
make
love it.
and what one thing I did want to ask you because I always wondered about this because like you say, you got into the education in like 2017. How how convicted were you about the feeling of Bitcoin? Because there was times where I was like, oh man, I don't know. I've been
Yeah.
telling people about this, and then it got shaky, and I'm like, oh
It went back to 3,000. Remember that?
man, I was
After
Yeah,
it hit
hurting.
20. Was it 17 or 20? And
it
then
went
it
it
went
went
back
to
down to
20. It
3,000.
went down to 3. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so let me give you the full story of how I got into it. Some of the things that almost kept me out. Um, So, I started 2013. I was teaching at the time. As I explained in the book, wasn't making any money. So I was, just looking at ways, I thought of Bitcoin as an investment at first. And then later, learned about technology and access and freedom and all of that stuff. But at first, from 2013 to 2015, I didn't even say the word Bitcoin. I never even said the word to anybody. I didn't mention it. I was I was I was terrified to say anything about it because I was like, I was listening to the media at first. The media is like, oh, it's for scammers, it's for what do they call them now? Shadowy coders. They're like, oh yeah, it's not worth anything. It's play money. It's internet money. Silk Road had just happened. So that was a big thing. Mount Gox had just happened. So you had an exchange that went down. You got a federal case. So I was sort of scared. Like if you look back, my old Instagram, my first post was in May or March of 2015.
Oh,
And the price of Bitcoin was $247. So every time I see that picture, I always laugh because I'm like, I was so scared. Like, what was I scared of? Because I really was. I was terrified. But I got to give a shout out to my cousin Jermaine. Rest in peace. He's like my big brother. We all got cousins that are like brothers. He's like my big brother. He was my first client, and if you know him, he's very very outgoing. He always is encouraging. And one of the first things he said was he was like, you did stand up comedy. He was like, you'd be perfect to talk to people about Bitcoin because he was like, I ain't gonna lie, this shit boring as hell.
That's funny.
So he took like a comedic angle because he actually used to do some stand up back in the day. He was in a few movies and TV stuff, but he took the comedic angle, and I was like, you know what, that's right. I've done stand up comedy, which might be the hardest thing to stand up and speak in front of people and try to make somebody laugh. That's
Yes.
terrifying. And he was like, this is nothing compared to that. He was like, all you're doing is educating people on the technology of it, and then it's like a light bulb went off. It was like, I was like, yeah, that's right, because whenever you start talking money with people, they think you're going to get them rich. They think you're
Yes.
going to fix their life. And I'm like, no, it's a lot of steps that go into building wealth. But from a technology standpoint, this is undeniable. We have literally basically taken something that was, discreet, nobody knew about it, and we brought it to the forefront all the way to today. We have a Bitcoin ETF. Like, that's incredible, actually. So shout out to him. I had that talk in 2016. He was my first real consultant client. And one of the things I used to do was while I was doing IT at this time, my side hustle was I used to build websites and code on different software projects. So when I used to get clients, I would ask them, I said, hey, I can implement Bitcoin payments on your website for free. And they were like, all right, well, I mean, I've heard of it. I don't think we'll need it, but sure. And that's how I kind of got into consulting people about it, because then it would turn into a 20, 30-minute conversation. Got more comfortable with it. And then, some of the websites I was putting Bitcoin payments on, some of them were churches. Some of them were small. A lot of them were small businesses in the Charlotte area, in Raleigh area. So it was literally from the ground up. I wasn't talking to corporations when I started, like some people. They start out and they're like, oh, I consult with Fidelity. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, how did you even get there? You haven't talked to regular people. Like,
They look like us.
That's what I'm saying. It
Who
actually
have
helped.
Fidelity account?
Huh? Do I have Fidelity?
No, the people who had the Fidelity account, did they look like us?
No. But the good thing is, the good thing is, I actually work with Fidelity from time to time. Yeah, with consultants. So now we do have people that look like us working with Fidelity, and that's why when people talk about resumes, I'm like, if we go through all the people I've consulted back in the day, because I'm more seasoned than most of the CEOs in this business. So, and then somebody like Reggie, who's more seasoned than most of these all these people they prop up as like the face of Bitcoin, and like it's like, we've been saying this shit since 2015, 2016. Like, what were you talking about? So I was initially kind of scared. 2017, that's when I decided to move to LA, because I don't know if you all remember, January 1st, the price of Bitcoin went back to 1,000 for the first time in 4 years. So that was a long 2013 and 2017 was a very long, dull, dry period, because nobody was talking about it. Everybody was pretty scared. Even if you heard of it, you were like, the news is kind of turning me off. But once I saw it hit 1,000 again, I was like, you know what? I'm either going to take this chance or it's just going to pass me by. I'm too comfortable. I got a job. I got a nice house. I got with a yard. I got my dream car. Like, I'm chilling. But it wasn't enough. It was like, I'm going to be that dude that's like, I'm comfortable and I'm going to be sitting in the same spot in 20, 30 years if I don't leave right now. So packed up the car. Shout out to King. King was living in LA at the time. Packed up the car. I drove from Charlotte to LA in 2017. Drove all the way across the country with nothing but all the stuff in my car. And I was like, all right, well, we're going to start this Bitcoin education. And he brought the idea of the YouTube. So shout out to King for that, because I don't know if many people know this, if I've told this story before, but I had never made a video ever before we started the Gentleman of Crypto. Ever.
Wow,
No YouTube.
okay.
I had never recorded anything. And King used to get mad at me. He used to be like, did you not realize nobody knows what the fuck Bitcoin is? It's like, you're the only person that's talking about it that actually knows what they're talking about. He was like, and this is 2016. He was like, I'm talking to my buddies in the Navy. I'm talking to some of the corporate guys I know. Nobody knows what it is. And I hear you talk about, we sit here and talk for 2-3 hours a day and you know everything. So he was like, convince me. And I was like, I'm kind of an introvert. I like being at the crib. I don't really like talking too much. Yeah, it's like, I'm good. I'll just keep it to myself. See, that's what I'm saying. My man. So at first I was like, yeah, well, we'll try it. We'll do you. And if you look at our old YouTube videos, I look back at them sometimes for a good laugh. If you want a good laugh, look back at the ones from like June 2017 up until 2018. They were so uninspired. They were kind of like, we're just doing it. We're just talking, because in my mind, I didn't realize how many people were picking up information via YouTube at that time. Right. YouTube University, so to say, wasn't a big deal. It wasn't, a thing where people were like, I'm learning skills all through YouTube. That wasn't a thing. So I was like, man, we should just keep it to ourselves. We'll make all the money. We got to tell anybody. But one thing I realized teaching is that when you teach other people, you learn. The more you teach, the more you have to be on point. You have to learn. You have to be able to improv, so to say. That's why we got so good at it, because we just improv, and you can answer questions on the fly, which I think also impresses people, because anybody can have a frequently asked questions page. Anybody can type that up, and but how many people can stand in front of you for 2 hours and answer any question you have? That's a very, very low number of people that can do that in the industry. And once we got the YouTube started, went from there and just gained more confidence. And being in LA, one of the life changing things that I got to see was people with quote unquote real money. We're talking about people that, they have billionaire families and they're living in the hills and they're in Beverly Hills and all this stuff. People that's, driving a Lambo, but they're leaving the house in a bathrobe. Like they're so rich, they don't even care about clothes no more. They're like, man, I don't like, people, and that's what I was like. People, if you said in Beverly Hills where I used to live, if you were like, oh yeah, I'm a millionaire, they'd be like, everybody is. What you talking about? Like it kind of changed my mindset on money. So it was more about purpose. It was like, what's my
Right.
purpose? Why am I doing this? The money's going to come if you're working in your purpose. So that's what LA did for me. And like I said, I'm forever grateful for Kane for convincing me to come because I was 1,000% not about to start a YouTube or start teaching about Bitcoin. I was like, I'm just going to keep it to myself. Black people don't want to listen. Other people, they're not going to accept me because I'm not a, traditional finance or traditional person. So I was like, I'm just doing myself. And then boom, fast forward 6-7 years and it's way more people than I thought. So that's sort of my story. But yes, the anxiety was there at the beginning.
So one of the things when I used to talk about Bitcoin, one of the questions that drove me crazy was just everybody asked, "What is Bitcoin?" And you felt like you were explaining it over and over and over again, and
All
then
the time.
to the point where I was just like, "Man, I don't, I didn't even know." It frustrated me. Did
Mhm.
you have that frustration as well?
Absolutely. And that was part of what made us do the YouTube. We're like, we can get the message out in bulk instead of us. Cause, I was, like I said, I'm in the streets, man. When I got to LA, I was at either a gas station, a club, or a restaurant every single day, at least one, if not, 4 or 5, trying to show them about Bitcoin, Bitcoin ATMs, Bitcoin payments. Do you have Bitcoin on your asset sheet? All of that. I was doing it individually. So when we started the YouTube page, it was able to broaden the message because I was tired of it too. I was tired of like, oh my God, I feel like I'm waking up every morning and I'm repeating the same speech over and over and over. So once the YouTube came out, it became a lot easier. The same thing with scaling up with a Bitcoin course and now with the app. And then, just scaling up that way so you don't have to do that. Cause I feel you, brother. Man, it was some nights I was like, oh my God, is this even worth it? Like, sitting there talking to them blue in the face, and then they still don't do anything about it. Because I was giving people back in 2014, 15, I was showing like my friends or like people I knew, I was giving them 0.1 Bitcoin every time I talked to them. So we talking about at that time it was $20. But I'm giving them 0.1 Bitcoin, which today, of course, is closer to 4,000. But and in the future, who knows what it could be? But I'm giving people 10 million satoshis back then and teaching them, and they still wasn't accepting it. So that can crush somebody if they don't have conviction. And the thing is, the more you look into Bitcoin, the more you learn about the cryptography aspect, some of the old cypherpunk history, how this is not new. Like some people think Bitcoin was created in 2009, it just started. This has been a movement since the 70s, even before I was born. So it was just a lead up to that. So once you start learning about all that, you start getting the conviction of, okay, this is where we're headed. This is where things are going. And again, get more confidence. And the more people I talk to, the more lives I've changed, the more kids I know that have, taught their parents and parents that have taught their kids. All of that is encouraging.
That is very encouraging.
So, I mean, I had no idea about how much hands-on you were with this. So this is actually refreshing for us. So you and King started the Gentleman of Crypto. At the time, it was just your show at 10ish, Monday through Friday. And
Yeah.
then you and King had a vision to let's have like Bitcoin television where we can have
Right.
other content creators who are just as passionate, just as educated, maybe have insights from different walks of life to come on the show and create content in order to help in the process of mass adoption.
Mhm.
Now that we've kind of got it going a little bit, tell me a little bit more about the vision you have for the channel, for the content, and where you can kind of see it going in the next maybe like 5 to 10 years,
Oh yeah.
if
Yeah.
you can see out that far.
Absolutely. Well, let me start off by thanking you guys for coming on the channel and lending your information and teaching us, from your point of view. And I think of you guys as like the first family of Bitcoin because a lot of people they'll do it individually or they may discuss their family, but you all literally as a family unit have built this up. So I applaud you guys, and you are a great example for other families who want to do it together. So which assets and arbitrage was your show with the jump out girls. Shout out to them. Some of the other shows we have with Black Rue and behind the Bitcoin behind the bar with Jake Fever. What we're basically doing right now, me and King, is from a media standpoint. Media companies, one thing that they fail at a lot of times is too much overhead to start. And basically falls apart at a certain point. Because we're going long term, we are sort of doing it organically where people can build their crowds. But our actual roadmap for the next 5 years is that we will have a 24-hour Bitcoin and crypto channel. And that will allow not only live shows, we'll have recorded shows. I'll give a little bit of the alpha here, just because this is family, you know, we all talking. But yeah, like some of the ideas we have for shows, for example, and this, if somebody, you know, has an idea, reach out to us, because we really want to do a 24-hour Bitcoin media company. And it's not just, it could be all Black faces, or, you know, it could be others, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to reach the globe. So media company, 24 hours. Some shows, for example, like one show that we're thinking of, Street Sats. Don't steal our name, please. Street Sats, basically where you go up to people with a microphone and you ask them Bitcoin questions and they win Bitcoin on the spot. Sort of like how people do, you see some of these
The
content
cash.
creators, they give them the cash.
Or phones or
Yep.
something.
And honestly, I was about to say, man, fuck it, I'm about to go out and just do it myself. But I really don't have the time. Like, it's so many ideas that I have to get out at one time. I'm like, I could just go outside and do it for like a couple hours a day, but I really don't have the time. So looking at that as a show to get people more interactive, kind of get that TikTok crowd, you know how that goes. We're also looking at certain angles to teach Bitcoin that most people haven't tried yet. So one of them is a cooking show. I've already talked with a few chefs. I already talked with a few people that have a cooking type show, but teaching people about Bitcoin while you cook, or teaching people about crypto while you cook, or different projects as well, because that's a huge market right there as far as content. People love watching content about with people cooking. Throw that in. Exactly. Yeah. What's better than learning about making some carbonara in crypto? You know what I mean? Like that's
What else would work? And it sounds crazy.
Mhm.
The people who clean the carpets, they clean like rugs. I found this rug, and those get millions. I mean tens of millions of views. And if you just sat there and started talking about Bitcoin and we watching you clean, I watch a lot of it, and I show him all the time.
Yeah,
like,
I was surprised that
this
many
is a
people watched
40-minute
this.
video
Oh, yeah.
that 22 million people sat and watched.
Yeah, and it's
Keep
one
that
of
in
those.
mind.
Oh yeah. It's a pretty long list of different content creation where you get the most views for the longest time. Those type of things, those things that are like satisfying with you know, carpet cleaning, with people having like what is it, where they build the traps where they go down and it goes around and it
Oh,
knocks
the
over the
physics
cup.
stuff. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like
talking
stuff like
about?
that. All of those, they
The
seem,
mousetrap.
yeah, like the mouse trap and all of that stuff seems silly because, like I said, I'm still coming from a place where I do stuff in person. It seems silly, but I know if we incorporate Bitcoin and crypto, people will appreciate it because it's meeting them where they are, which is the ultimate goal. Meet people where they are, and they don't have to worry about changing their whole lifestyle to try and be in Bitcoin. So we got a few ideas for shows. Definitely want to have all of the shows that we have now increasing sort of the push, social media push for it, turn it into an entire network, and long term being the place that people go for their Bitcoin and crypto information. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like I've seen every single Bitcoin or crypto show that's come out at least once. They're boring as hell, man. I'm sorry. They don't have they have kind of information, but you'll fall asleep. Or you know, they're kind of entertaining, but they're not really talking about Bitcoin or crypto. They're just kind of speaking in generalities. Nothing substantial that you can take home. So I think we combine the best of both worlds, edutainment, and then we can do it our way. And we don't have to, you know, basically rely on anybody else to fund us, because then that's when the messages, the wires. For those of you who don't know, I used to have a TV show on CoinDesk called Community Crypto. And because they are funded and they have investments in VCs, there's certain messages you can't get out there. And one of those messages, if you all didn't know, I tried to bring on Reggie like 5 times on the show to interview him about the patent and about the case, and they wouldn't allow it to happen. So that's the one thing I learned from working for them, is what not to do in media. Because if you actually want a free open media where you can talk about what you want, do it your way, and get content to people that way, you can't have investors telling you, well, you know, you can't talk to that guy. Oh no, the Simon family, you can't really discuss this with them, because, you know, I don't want that. That's garbage to me. I'd rather do it organic and do it my way. So learning from Community Crypto, as well as what we've done with our show, man, I can't wait. That's our next 5-year plan. And then in 50 years, I want to have this network like Bob Johnson and BT, or like any of these other people that have these networks. Just like I think we're going to see, you know, the CNN or the Fox News or CNBC of Bitcoin and crypto is going to come from people like us. Nobody wants to watch mainstream shit in Bitcoin. Like, that's what most people don't understand. Nobody cares about your mainstream talking points and the way that you do the graphs. So just like CNBC, nobody wants that shit anymore. I don't think they understand that, but they want it this way. They want to talk to people who are regular people who they can also see in person. They can also, you know, meet up somewhere.
And you're right about that, because when I started back in just finance a long time ago, I would always watch mainstream like you're talking about, and I would watch Jim Cramer. And I had a book by Jim Cramer, and I read the whole book, right? And then as you've seen as time goes on, it's just like when we see Jim Cramer, we're just like, oh my goodness, how does he still have a job? I don't even know.
Inverse Kramer, everything he says, do the opposite, man.
Yeah, I said, oh my goodness. But yeah, I took a lot from him. He would tell you all this stuff. But yeah, like you said, this would be more mainstream. Get rid of that. We want to hear, like you said, boots on the ground people who out here, who really out here doing this every day. So I had a question then. So I mean, as your book is Bitcoin in Black America, so I know your initial was to do it for Black in America, but what would you like to see global adoption be as you like you say, would scale out?
So you know, I do discuss Black America. That's my culture. That's where I come from. That's my family. However, Bitcoin is for everybody. So I want to use our community as an example for other cultures, no matter whether it's race-based, religion-based, socioeconomic. I want them to be able to take the same solutions and apply it to themselves. And you know, one of the things that I've seen is that there's a lot of people who discourage me at first from writing the book because they're like, well, you kind of just pushed it down to Black people, like you're not talking to other people. And the funny thing is, I'm like, 30% of my customers are from Japan, another 20% are white, another 10% are from Latin America. So that's over 50% of my sales, not even Black people, because they understand, they recognize Bitcoin is for everybody. So if these solutions work for us, well, it can work for you guys as well. So that's really what I want to see as far as global adoption. A few of the things that I want to see that have to change. Education, of course, is number one, which is what I'm working on. Number two is peer-to-peer markets. You know, one of the things I like about Ray Youssef, if you know Ray Youssef, he used to be the CEO of Paxful. Yeah, he used to be the CEO of Paxful. He started a new company called CivKit and No Ones, which is a purely peer-to-peer trading app between traders, where you know you can trade anything for anything. Basically, that's what he's trying to. That's what he's building, and he's built schools in Nigeria. He's built schools in Ghana. He's been in Zimbabwe. He's from Egypt originally. Like, he's all over the African continent. So when we talk about scaling up, we have to look at Africa. So if anybody tells you otherwise, matter of fact, Jack Dorsey, I talked to him not too long ago. Jack Dorsey is moving his operation to Ghana.
Wow.
Like, people don't understand. Like, he's doing it under the radar, but I'm just giving y'all the free game. It's like Africa is where it's at because they have the combination of the two main things that drive adoption. They want to learn about it. Like, they have the drive to learn about Bitcoin. They want to learn something new because pretty much every African nation that we've seen, that they take their corruption is at another level. As far as we see it here, but theirs is at like a whole nother level. So they want to learn it. And then also a lot of the countries like Nigeria and some of the other ones, they have a younger population. They have, if the average age of a lot of them are 32 and under, that's a perfect place to bring Bitcoin adoption, because not only do they need it, they're younger, so they're more acceptable to the technology side. So shout out to Ray, doing a good job in Africa. I've been working with him with the No Ones app as far as consulting with them. And being able to get things there. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Bitcoin adoption grow amongst students, amongst college students, amongst adults in Africa. And I think most people, when Africa is doing something, people take notice and they're like, hold on, what they doing over there? So once that happens, I think that's when it'll boom and blow up. Because America, we've been talking about it forever, but we kind of spoiled. But you go to a village and you have a few kids with a cell phone who's able to transact with Bitcoin, and he no longer has to rely on the state. And then that spreads amongst the villages and amongst the cities and amongst different African countries and the African Union who I've spoken with. That's very powerful, and it at least gives them a plan B.
Okay, so when you see that, so I didn't know when we first got on this Gentleman Crypto Network, we were talking about El Salvador. We had just came back from El Salvador. We had spent some time down there
Nice.
and just some information and just boots on the ground, like you said. What do you think about their initiative with the president making it legal tender and just he seems like he's a younger man. I think he's 42 years old. But has like forward thinking. What do you think about initiatives like that in other places, Honduras and Costa Rica?
Yeah. So it's not perfect. So I let's get that out the way, because some people think, oh well, this is El Salvador, the Chivo wallet is controlled by the government, and they kicked out a bunch of criminals and stuff like that. Whatever. People have their doubts about El Salvador. The reason I love it is because, for one, they made it legal tender, which gets rid of all of the. Basically, it helped me out because at the end of the day, I can always say there's a country that has Bitcoin as legal tender, and it's not only El Salvador, but they were the first. So I love that for them. Shout out to Max Kaiser, who you mentioned earlier. Max Kaiser is the first person. It's funny that you saw an interview I did with Max Kaiser. I don't know if you all know, Max Kaiser is my mentor. He's the first person I ever heard talking about Bitcoin. Him and Stacy actually just saw them in Charlotte not too long ago. But Max is my mentor. I talk to him all the time, like every week. And Max, when I learned from him, one of the main things that he's doing in El Salvador is he's building a Bitcoin country, so to say, without the restraints of American culture, is what I would say. Like, basically, they're used to one thing, and they got all the criminals in jail, and then now they're introducing something new, and everybody is receptive to it because they're like, hold up, we got a Bitcoin hardware store. I can use Bitcoin to pay for goods. I can save in it. I have my own wallet. They got Bitcoin Beach down there. Me Premier Bitcoin, the Bitcoin diploma I was discussing, that comes from my guys at Blink Bitcoin, which is based in El Salvador. They also have volcano bonds. So you can actually invest in government bonds using energy from the natural. So Max and also to Samson Mal, shout out to him. They have the vision of, if you want to build a Bitcoin country, you have to hit all the parts. They have the education, they have the wallets, they got the mining. And then, of course, long term, I think it bodes well for the president, because if he pulls them out of this, which he's already doing, if he pulls them out of their bad reputation, and then to the point where they are basically a superpower for small countries, every country's going to copy them. And they already started. I mean, Brazil, Argentina, Central African Republic is already there. Like, there's a lot of countries that are going to copy that model and use it to the T. They're going to use the exact same model. So this is just testing phase. Shout out to President Bukele. I actually got to meet man, what's the lady's name? I forget her name, but she works under President Bukele. Spoke with her for a long time at the last Bitcoin conference, and I just picking her brain. She was like, we have so much stuff that we're about to do down here. It's kind of overwhelming, but I love it. And I think that we can take that model and you can just apply it to other smaller communities, the same way I do with the Black community, the El Salvador community, the whatever religion community, whatever men community, women's community. It doesn't matter. Kids, you can take the same solutions, because everybody needs to save their own money. Everybody needs to retain their own wealth. Everybody needs access to markets. So these are the things that you introduce. I love it, man. I can't wait to see more countries adopt it.
And I also, just to piggyback off of that, I think President Bukele and Max Kaiser say they were looking at El Salvador to make it like the next Singapore or Dubai for the Western world.
Right.
And so, and like you said, they'll just take that blueprint in smaller countries. And, of course, we always talk about the game theory. Once, you see adoption here and there, everybody says like, well, we got to get in on this. We don't want to miss out. We won't miss out. So I think it's a great thing. And like you said, when you see Africa doing it, then everybody has to take notice.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is going to be the spark that makes everybody, because that's the thing. Africa, a lot of the countries are still colonized. They're still giving most of their wealth away, which is essentially they're giving away their time. So as soon as you get one brave soul, and we might have one now, I forget the guy's name that's president now. He's a younger guy. He's pushing back against some of the old colonial ways. I forget his name, but he signed a deal with Putin. I think he's like 35, 36 or something like that. Young guy.
Wow.
And,
boy, he's doing it big.
Yeah, former military. I think he signed a deal with Putin. Like, I don't think he wants to deal with the IMF anymore or deal with those predatory loans because people think individually you get predatory loans. Man, you got to see these loans they give to countries. No way to pay it back. The interest is crazy. They basically made you indentured servitude, indentured slaves for the rest of your life and your grandkids' life. So those loans are ridiculous. They're starting to get out of here, and that's all it takes is one spark, and a lot of people will start to copy it. It's just the way it happens because most people are not innovative. They just want to copy what works. And once you prove it works, hey, we off to the races.
That's what I'm thinking. So that's great.
Do you think that the U.S. will be one of the last mass adopters in this vein?
You know what's funny? The U.S. Bitcoin wallet, I forget how much they have in it, but you know our federal government has a Bitcoin wallet. They have
Yes.
like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. So I don't think they'll ever adopt it as a medium of exchange because we have the top medium of exchange, so to say, the dollar. As the value of the dollar decreases over time, this is what they're going to do, and they already started it with the BlackRock ETF. They're trying to, through surrogates, not the government directly, through surrogates like BlackRock and some of these companies, try and get as much Bitcoin as possible without saying that we're accumulating as much Bitcoin as
That's
possible.
what we're doing.
Because they see the writing on the wall just like everybody else. They don't have a choice at this point. Game theory right now is working beautifully because when you see BlackRocks and you see Vanguards and you see Franklin Templeton and Fidelity and some of these other companies, all these people are surrogates or frontmen for our government and for the big money people in the back, and they're literally just investing in Bitcoin through another vehicle. So they won't ever come out and say it. I don't want to get that confused. We probably won't ever hear them come out and say Bitcoin is legal tender in the United States. However, the thing about the United States is if you watch and follow the money, you can see what they're actually doing. They're trying to accumulate as much as possible. And we can, people that are in the US, we can transact with it anytime we feel like it. These archaic laws, Coinbase is in court right now challenging the SEC on the Howey test because it's so outdated. It's almost 100 years old. What are we talking about? Talking about before a lot of people had outdoor plumbing. Like, what? Why is this law in place? So even though they won't have to come out and say it, people will just start doing it. And I think that's going to come out of necessity as well. I've already seen, the steps to get there are gradual, but I think the first big step was when COVID happened. A bunch of businesses stopped accepting cash, just straight up no cash. Only digital. So that's the step towards digital. From that point, you got a choice. You can either go digital, like we always say with the CBDC, and that's going to be, to me, a terrible thing, or digitally, you can accept Bitcoin, or you can put it on your balance sheet. There's a lot of things you can do with Bitcoin. It gives you the freedom to own your own money. So I think we'll see that we'll see that happen quicker than people think. But the US, we'd be lying, man. You're never gonna come out and say it. We're never gonna actually have somebody stand on the podium and say the United States supports Bitcoin. Because if you know who our sort of let's see, how can I put this? Financial enemies are reserve type people. These are people that run the country, and sometimes they butt heads. That's why you have government. You have Elizabeth Warren saying one thing, but then you got other senators like Cynthia Loomis saying something totally opposite. They're fighting right now because they're like, why are we not jumping on this right now? These other people are like, they got their handlers behind them saying, you better not say nothing good about Bitcoin. You better say crypto is for scam. You better say it's terrible. You better put a tax on it. You better do blah, 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 because we want our money from out of this. So that's what you're seeing right now. And it's hilarious watching government entities fight.
And exactly that. I want to piggyback on Erin. One of her favorite.
Oh boy, what I say?
One of her favorite people is Jamie Dimon. And he has a lot to say about Bitcoin. I just seen him, I guess it was last week at Davos, having a lot to say. And then he said that's going to be the last time.
It's criminal.
So
right.
People like that, I mean, why does he have so much to say about
Is that
Bitcoin?
the pot calling the kettle black?
That's what I'm saying. Well, here's the thing about it's a playbook. It's an actual playbook. I had a friend that used to work for Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
It's a playbook that they use at every bank or just financial institutions. They basically project onto you what they are doing. So when they say there's illicit transactions and there's criminals and they're selling drugs and they're doing it. Every time you hear them projected onto you, they're doing it. And if you ever had somebody and a friend or somebody around you, a family member that does that, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they project onto you exact. Like even if it's for those of you who may have a girlfriend or back in the day had a boyfriend, a girlfriend,
and accusing you of cheating,
they
right?
the ones cheating. They got projected onto you. I know you must be out there doing something because if I'm slick enough to get away with it, you must be out there slick enough. And that's what they're
That's
doing.
funny.
They're literally, Jamie Dimon is basically saying, we're manipulating the silver market. We're manipulating the gold market. We're funding Epstein and Bernie Madoff. We're letting illicit drugs go through like the Santander Bank and some of these other ones. When they project onto you, they're doing it. And they just want to project it onto you. So the focus now is on the Bitcoin and crypto market. Like, oh, that must be the scam. And the scammer is sitting right in front of you. Diamond is sitting right there. He's literally taking a page. I mean, it's not even just American. China. What did China do? They banned it.
Yeah.
I think 15
Because
times.
it also has an intrinsic value of freedom.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I know that that's the US's whole thing, right? Because we did a show a couple of shows ago, maybe several shows ago, where we talked about how the 1% has stolen trillions from the 99%, right?
Yeah.
So, Bitcoin also, in addition to its wealth value, has an intrinsic value of independence. So there's no way China is gonna allow that type of they don't want anything to lose out of their control.
No, and I'm gonna go back in on because I mean I know people don't like to speak on Jamie Dimon. We got to go in on him though a little bit.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm ready.
He is the CEO of a cartel. Continuously, I keep getting these articles about Chase closing accounts,
business accounts, their business
seizing
accounts,
money and doing all this stuff and jamming you up. And also, Jamie Dimon, I believe, well, as a company, has had at least 2 RICO charges. Is that correct?
Yeah, at least 2.
Up for a third one.
Yeah, at least 2. We can probably look it up, but yeah, he's had a few.
So can you or I get a RICO charge and not be sitting in a federal prison?
Absolutely not. You can't even get a speeding charge and not be sitting in prison. For some people, like a RICO charge. And see, that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that there's rules for thee, not for me. And people have watched this happen to them for years and years and years. There's a breaking point at some point. The only problem was there's no alternative solution. Like I'm sure there's plenty of people before Bitcoin was created that was saying the same type of things. They realized there was some sort of corruption, but it's like, what do I want to do about it? Not use a bank? You know what I mean? Like they're like, well, whatever. So they just accepted it. Now you're starting to see people where they're like, but hold up. So that means, hold up, y'all been doing this whole time. Y'all been doing all this corruption. Y'all not going to jail. Y'all just paying off, fines or whatnot. But you don't want me to go to this alternative. I don't ever have to worry about that. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Like it's ridiculous. And they pick and choose, different things that they want to hit on. Like the SEC, if they did a full, real investigation of Chase, of JP Morgan Chase, or if they did it of Bank of America or Wells Fargo, the corruption would be so rife they would have to shut down the next day. The problem is the people that work for the SEC used to work for these banks. You work for the SEC. So they like, why would I investigate my boy? We used to work together at the SEC. We still go play golf. Why would I investigate and take him down? Or even if they do it, if you ever watch the show Billions with Paul Giamatti, even when they do it, it's like it's a soft jab. It's not even a real hit. It's like, okay, well, we'll fine you, $500 million. And they'll be like, oh, that's cool. We made 20 billion. Like they don't care. Like who cares? Like literally manipulating, and that's one thing in the second book that I have a laundry list of things that JP Morgan has been caught doing, and most of it flies under the radar because they just pay it and it just goes away. But it's literally JP Morgan takes your money, they do illegal stuff so they can make money, and then with a little bit of extra they give it to the SEC. It's the same cycle, and the SEC comes down hard on projects like library token, Veritasium with Reggie. They come down hard on smaller projects because they don't have the money to sustain these court cases for a long time, and they come down on them. But the real big fish in the room, the actual criminals who have been doing it for a century now. I mean, the Federal Reserve has been around for over a century. They won't even look that way. I mean, how can you when literally we're talking about people that went to college together, roommates, people that are friends, they go off together, their kids play together. The good old boys. And it's like, why would I investigate my boy? Like, you want me to investigate my old boy?
It's funny. In 2018 or 2019, I took this whole course through MIT courseware about blockchain technology, and it was taught by
Gary Gensler.
right?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden he flipped the script. I say, hey, I thought he was solid, like what he was teaching. I say, I just think this is legit. And then he
Mhm.
just flipped the script and went there. And I was like, oh man, he's
Yep.
But they have to. It's kind of like when people are hackers, those good
Mhm.
hackers, they will hire
Yeah.
in order to keep from being, you know what I mean? Like if we can't beat you, you got to join us.
Right.
We
Mhm.
ain't gonna join you. You got to join us. So
talking
they
about like
got them.
Frank
But I
Abagnale.
have a
Yeah. I
question
mean,
for
the
you,
good
Jay.
old. Oh, so sorry. I was gonna say that's the good old get down and lay down.
It is. It is. Um, I just tell Simon this, and Simon was a lot like you. He's got all of the technicals. He's got all of the mastery in it, right? And then he has to kind of like teach me as we go, whatever, because I'm the one who would I go on the show right now and talk about whatever you want me to talk about. But I told him when I was trying to talk him into it, the space feels very single, right? I don't hear a lot of family approaches. I get a lot of emails from men really who are frustrated because the wives, girlfriends, whoever don't want to like get involved or be a part of it or work together. So from one family to another, because that's another, I think, area that we collectively should be tackling is the families, right? We
Mhm.
should be looking at legacy building, wealth generation for families, et cetera, et cetera. What are some of your insights as to a better way to help get families more involved? Because there's always one person who all in,
Mhm.
right? They all in. And then it's typically, I hate to say this, ladies, but it's typically the wives who are like, yeah, I'm not really feeling that, or I'm not interested in it. Like, you could do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Um, the kids are separated from it, right? Because mom's a
Right.
nation builder. And ladies, we are the one who set the example at home with the children, right? It's not always the father, even if the father is in the home with the children. So,
Mhm.
what is a good way you think that we can collectively tackle getting more adoption? And at this point, not even adoption, just interest.
Mhm. So,
Family
like,
wise.
yeah, like I said before, meet people where they are. So that's one of the main proponents of the final chapter in the book, Generational Bitcoin. When you want to get family involved, what I mean by meeting people where they are, let them do things that they already do and earn Bitcoin, right? So you don't have to explain it. They don't need to know the technicals. They don't need to know everything. Here's what you do. Tell your wife, hey, baby, download S Miles. Every time you walk, you earn Bitcoin.
Oh, what we downloading? What we downloading? Hold on.
S Miles, SMILES, S Miles.
All right.
So you literally earn sats for walking. You can also earn sats for playing chess on there and answering surveys and other things as well. But literally, it attaches on your phone. It counts your steps and you earn sats for that. So you get Bitcoin for walking. So what you do is you take that, move it to a Lightning wallet. Then you say, hey, baby, next time you go shopping, use Lolly or use Fold app. When they go shop, and that's the thing, they have most of the stores that women shop at. Just take that they earn from it, put it in a wallet, just let it sit to the side. Anytime if they want to learn about it on Wiser app, you can earn sats on there as well. On your browser, Slice. If you download Slice on your browser, you don't have to tell your wife. Just put Slice on the browser on the computer or on her laptop. As you browse, the more you browse, you earn Bitcoin. I'm literally Slices is on my browser right now as we speak. As you browse, you earn Bitcoin. These are all things where you're earning Bitcoin without her having to do anything different, and you don't ever have to bring up Bitcoin again. Even with the kids, you don't even have to teach the kids about it. You can just tell the kids, "Hey, if you play these games on this app, like ZBD app, if you download that, you play games on ZBD app, we earn Bitcoin." And that's it. That's all you do. So you start them off with doing things that they already do. And once they're doing it, and then a couple weeks later, you look and be like, hey, we got like $200 in Bitcoin. And you're like, what, how? And it's like just doing what you already do. Just do exactly what you do every day. You go to work, you surf the web, kids, you play games on your phone, you walk. If you eat at certain places, if you order online, which a lot of people, I remember I did a book tour event, and I said, what's the makeup place? Is it Ulta Beauty?
Mm-hmm.
Ulta Beauty and the other one, Sephora. I was like, Ulta Beauty and Sephora, you can earn 6% back in Bitcoin. every single woman there came up to me afterwards and was like, where? How can I get this back? Where's it at? Yeah, because they're like, if I'm getting cash back, and it's small increments, so people don't really care about the cash back aspect. But when I'm showing them that, hey, I'm getting cash back for ordering DoorDash and for using Uber, which I do both a lot because I travel. I spent about $3,000 last year or the year before. By the end of the year, that $3,000 was worth like $7,000. So I was like, I just paid for all my food with instead of putting it in cash, putting it in Bitcoin. So things like that, where you can actually show improve without having to explain it. Because you're right, a lot of people don't want to be taught and talked to and coached and all of that. They're just like, all right, just tell me exactly what to do. And then when you tell them, don't do anything different. I'm just going to download this app, and then I'm just going to add this to the browser. And anytime you shop, click on the link at the top or the part at the top, and we'll earn Bitcoin. That way, you can learn as slowly as you go, because you can't force it on people. That's one thing I learned early on, trying to force it on people, because it's learning about Bitcoin is like falling in love. When you learn about it, you want to tell everybody. The mailman, lady at the grocery store, you're like, hey, why is everybody not listening to me? And then once you kind of calm down, you're like, people are just not going to do that. So just meet them where they are, and you don't have to change anything different. And I think families, once they understand that, as a family, some of the metrics that I have in the second book, it shows you where you can actually earn anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million Satoshis a month just doing things you already do. And if you think about that, over a year's time, that's 0.1 Bitcoin. We got Fidelity talking about Bitcoin could be $100 million in 2035. We got even JP Morgan and some of these banks have reports coming out saying that Bitcoin is going to pass 1 million in the next few years. We're talking about 6 figures worth of wealth potentially, because y'all took 1 year and did what you already do. You
Right.
already walk and eat and buy things. So it's very simple. It's just that when people, I don't say force it on them, but when you basically do it for them, and then they figure out along the way, hold up, so this has been happening. So yeah, without you knowing, you didn't even realize it, and you've been earning this entire time.
Man, and that's good game. And I'm glad that you put that game out there, because I'm gonna tell you something that drives me crazy. And we talked about it on another show.
Oh boy.
It's these people who jump in this Bitcoin space. I call them Johnny come latelys or whatever. They're kind of multi-level, MLM.
Yeah.
And it like messes up the space, because when people who genuinely like us are trying to tell you about and put you on the game, they seem scammy and trying to get money out of you. Does that bother you? I know you got to come across some people all the time.
Oh my God, we spent the first 2 years of our consultant just getting scammers out the way, because every black person we talked to was trying to tell us we were wrong about BitConnect. Every person we consulted was trying to tell us about USI Tech, and there's so many scams from back in the day.
All the rug pulls, right?
All the rug pulls, and we were getting probably 10 emails a day about ICOs back in 2017, and we're looking at it, we're like, nope, scam, rug pull, that's terrible. You have to sort of battle through that a little bit. However, the writing was on the wall for a lot of them. They understand that they don't really know what they're talking about. They're just trying to extract money from them. So when you come, like myself or you guys, when you come with free information, you're like, oh, well, why are they doing it for free? And they actually have established lives, and you're trying to siphon money out of me just to give me this little bit of information I could have Googled. They're going to choose. The market's going to choose at some point. So at first, people's first time hearing about it, they get caught up in that multi-level marketing or whatever. People have so many different ways, schemes and scams to try and get people on something that's so simple. I mean, I worked so hard. Me and Lamar worked so hard to get Bitcoin on Cash App, and people got Cash App and they still won't use it. I'm like, God damn, I thought that was perfect.
Right.
Me and Lamar, I mean, if you guys don't know, me and Lamar Wilson from Black Bitcoin Billionaires, we did the first Bitcoin transaction on Cash App ever. So every time you use Bitcoin on Cash App, remember, the first people to do it were black people. Me and Lamar, that's some black history for you. So we were the first to beta test it and do a live. It was a big thing with Block and with Jack Dorsey. And so that's the thing, is like, we're meeting people where they are. And I'm telling you, you don't have to do anything different. You already use Cash App, just do this. And then you got some scammer coming in. It's like, no. To join this program, you got to give me $2,000. And then at the end of the program, you're going to make 50% a day, every day for the rest of your life. Bitcoin Rodney. And all these people that's using all these different marketing schemes to try and get people to somehow be quote unquote rich overnight. And it doesn't, that's not how wealth works. You're
Word.
not going to be rich overnight. And I hate that that's sort of become the theme of Bitcoin and crypto is like, oh yeah, look at all these guys with Lambos and with yachts and with yeah. And it's like, yeah, you're talking about such a small percentage that they're not even worth talking about. Let's talk about the other 99.99%. So yeah, I hate it too, and we've had to battle through it. But most of them, they do not. They hate when they see me coming. When I'm at a conference, they get real nice. They shake your hand, yeah, and they don't talk much. Like you can see it shut off with them because when they're like, that's what you know how it is. It's like, hey man, everybody's a killer till real killers walk in the room. And
Yeah.
So you're saying
everybody
when
knows
you
about
walk
Bitcoin. Yeah, everybody knoes about Bitcoin until somebody like me or you guys or Lamar walk in the room. We like, nope, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's incorrect. That's outdated. And then just like, all right, well, I can't compete with that. So yeah, I don't really worry about it too much, especially at this point.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't worry about it too much. I feel like they give people like us a bad name.
Yeah.
As we try to spread education and knowledge, but you know, they're looking at us like we're one of them. And it's just like, well, I'm not one of them, but you know, it's frustrating as you try to get the stuff out here, you know, and I do like you said earlier, getting back to the young people because you can get to them real easy. They have pliable minds, malleable, and we can get to them. They haven't already had their mind made up. When you're trying to get to the old dogs, as you say, and teach them new tricks, it's like,
yeah. But, you know, one thing I started doing. some of the people that have already made up their mind, they kind of know like what I do, so they'll know me as the Bitcoin guy. So sometimes when I talk to them at conferences or meetups or different stuff like Urban League and Black Chamber of Commerce, they'll ask me about it and they'll be like, "Yeah, I have some concerns," and I'll just tell them, be like, "Don't buy it," and they'll be like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't buy Bitcoin, stay out," and they'll be like, they kind of taken aback, like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're not ready. Just don't buy it. Stay out. And then what that does is a reverse psychology. Now you made it where they're like, oh, now I'm definitely gonna check it out. But if you basically telling me we don't want you, we don't care, more people are gonna come. And I said that on when I was on Fox. I was on Fox Business. And when I said it afterwards, the host, she was like, that was brilliant because I've never heard somebody tell me they don't care if I buy it. Usually it's people telling me to buy it. Like, please.
Hard sales,
And they were like, you're the first person to come on and say, hey, well, how about you don't buy it? How about you stay out? And then people were like, they were kind of offended, like, whoa, what you mean? I'm like, sometimes you got to pull at them heartstrings for people to start to realize, like, if it's that valuable and they trusting it this much, that they don't even care about us anymore, I'm definitely gonna check it out now. And it's so weird that you got to treat human beings like that. Like, you should just get it to do your own research, but that works a lot of times with me, telling people, and then I'll get an email a couple weeks later. It's like, I actually took a look at it and it makes sense. I didn't know a country made it legal tender. I didn't realize we had banks and investment companies that already were into Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, why would they tell you? So once you learn it, it's good from there.
So Zay, tell us a little bit more about this book that's coming out. I know that you have a few copies out to, I call it your 33rd above, but tell us like the title, when you believe it will be available, and a little bit about what drove you, what motivated you to write this second book.
Oh yeah. So the initial drive for the second book was the fact that the Bitcoin industry changes so fast.
Yes.
I wrote the first book in 2019. A year later, a year or two later, everything had pretty much changed. So I wanted to get it out quick before. And one of the things I can discuss on here is some of the background for why it's been pushed back. So when I first wrote the first version of Bitcoin Black America, the second edition, one of the main things that I got a lot of pushback for, and I'm probably still gonna get it because I got into deep legal battles with these publishers. They didn't want to put the book out. I was explaining some of the ways that money creation has happened over the years, and because I included a group of people who run the banking system, and kind of got called out the same way Kanye and Kyrie got called out. I got the same treatment. They basically were keeping my book shelved, the publishing company, so they wouldn't even let me put it out. It's kind of like if you're an artist and you piss off the CEO, they'll just keep your album on the shelf for 3 years till everybody forgets about it. The problem is my actual following is organic. It wasn't paid for. It wasn't fake followers and clicks and me being some sort of spectacle. It was actual organic growth with real people that I talked to in real life. So they can't really get rid of the crowd that wants this book. It finally got released from that. legal battles wise, just kind of settled on that. Amazon was trying to shut down the book. Let's see what else. Paper, Stripe, they Trash App, but they didn't realize Jack, my boy. They tried with Venmo. So let me, yeah. So let me just say, if you write about certain things or certain groups, even if it's true, they will try to stop it from coming out, and that's one of the main things that has delayed it. Now, with that being said, my mom ain't raised no scared people, so I wish I could say what I want to say, but I'm not part of the Scared Negro Coalition. Like, you're not about to scare me out of saying true words. So the book will still have most of the content in there. The only things I've taken out were things that I wanted, just to make it easier, just to get the content out. And I think that this is the perfect time to put out the book. I start out the book talking about private key management, literally showing people no keys, no cheese. That's the beginning of the book. What are we here for? If you don't own your keys, we ain't even talk about nothing. We just talking. It's just thin air anyway. I talk about the CBDC, central bank digital shitcoins. That's the next chapter, where basically it describes how they went from the banking system to now they're transferring it into Basel III and using ISO ISO 2200 and a few other things to try and change the market for CBDCs. Then I go into the Black is Global, where we can build bridges with other communities like Africa, like in El Salvador. Building those bridges is important because when we talk about a peer-to-peer marketplace, the ability to buy and sell goods with people from other countries, that was the reason for Bitcoin. Like, that was literally the beginning reason. So we trying to get back to that and bridging that gap. Also going to Bitcoin as DeFi, describing how you can use decentralized finance in order to on Bitcoin in order to help your family and help yourself. Sort of taken back from a lot of the crypto talk where it's like, oh, it's DeFi loans and DeFi and it's like, well, we got DeFi on Bitcoin now, so it's like, all right, well, let me show you how this works. And then of course going into my favorite chapter probably is Bitcoin and reparations, which I'm sure it's gonna be some debates both ways. It's gonna be some people that support it. It's gonna be some people like, nah. But Bitcoin and reparations basically showing that the solution you're looking for is in the mirror. And even though reparations has a legal precedent, that is in the book where I describe the legal precedent for reparations, because they have been given to certain groups based on the legality. So yes, legally we should actually get reparations based on your heritage and our unique experience as Black Americans in America. One of the things I argue in there is logistics. Legality is one thing, logistics is another. They can make you wait. They can make you wait to the year 2100 if they feel like it. Literally, Bitcoin will be $100 million a piece, and people will still be fighting for it. So I look at both sides of it. Actually, try to deep dive into how we can use Bitcoin as reparations, basically showing that if you have an asset that other people want, it's only a matter of time before they're going to give you all the money you want for it. And some of the things we already know: Bitcoin long term, low time preference, all of those things. That's in that chapter. That's gonna be a fun chapter, because I already know, I can already see the hate, and I can also feel the love at the same time. That's gonna come from. That's a very hot topic right now. The next chapter is 33 ways to earn Bitcoin without trading. I gave you guys, I think, 4 or 5 just now.
Yep.
There's actually a whole bunch of ways. I use 33. I guess numerology stuff or whatnot, just to make it mystical a little bit. People talk about it, but
Mystical.
it's provocative. It gets the people going. So 33 ways to earn Bitcoin without trading. Literally 33 ways to earn Bitcoin for doing things you already do. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to trade it if you don't want to. And most people aren't traders, so I think that'll resonate. And then the last chapter is generational Bitcoin. What are we doing this for? Like, if you're doing it for yourself, that's cool. But I know me, I'm doing it for family, future generations, how you can have insurance plans that can help you, multi-sig, so that they don't lose the keys down the line, certain law firms that allow you to put Bitcoin in your will. How do you do all of that? All of that is in generational Bitcoin. So very well-rounded book to help the Black community realize that the solution to their problems is in the mirror. You can solve the problems that you need to solve for yourself, and then you can explain it to other people to solve it. Because I see too many people trying to solve the whole community's problems, and their problems not even solved. I'm like, do it yourself, and then we can spread it out to everybody else. So with Bitcoin making people self-sufficient, you start there, and then you show it with other people and how they can leverage it to help make their life better. So that's the second book. Like I said, I'm so excited to get it out. Valentine's Day is looking like the release date. The only reason it will be pushed back is because of some of the shipping stuff with Amazon. They already messing with me. I'm like, the first couple of ones I tried to ship got returned, and I was like, what's going on? And
Was
they
it
were like, oh,
global or domestic?
it was domestic. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't even global because I have a international order already in Canada, but I don't even want to try it until next month until we get everything sorted out. But yeah, once it's
And then
out,
we're in Mexico, and we
you're in
typically
Mexico.
don't
Yeah.
get
Mhm.
physical copies.
Yeah.
So if it's available on Kindle, then
Well, that's sweet though, because maybe I could actually get a Valentine's gift for the first time in many, many years.
Yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, you see the marketing play. Yeah, that's the.
in
Yeah.
my
So.
defense, Zay, my birthday is on the 10th of February.
Oh,
So when we get to the
Oh,
14th, I'm still on my birthday glide.
I don't know why, but women will celebrate their birthday for the whole month if you let them. Boy. February is my month. It's my whole month. Like, oh
Yeah.
man.
I'm on my
But,
birthday glide around the 14th-ish. So
But let
oh
me
man.
ask you. I want to. I got two more questions. I know I respect your time,
Yeah,
man.
we
You've been
do.
here a while. I just got two questions, but I
Oh.
wanted you. Did you need to read any of the comments or everything was?
boy, it's so many comments.
Oh, okay, my bad.
There were a few questions, Zay, and I do, if we can maybe answer the people's questions, I'm gonna find them. But we really appreciate you
Oh,
coming
yeah.
on as
Mhm.
content children, right? When we talk to the Jump Out girls, that's the content cousins.
Yeah.
But when it's you, we the content children. We really appreciate you giving us a platform because, like I said, like how you said, to utilize Bitcoin as our way of solving our own problems. I was seeing in the space, like, it's just a bunch of single people talking. I'm a mom. I want to have grandchildren very soon.
Mhm.
And I want to know, like, I would like to see other people, like how you just gave us some game, like, hey, Aaron, you walk 6 miles a day. Why aren't you getting Satoshis for walking 6 miles a day? I walk like 30 miles a week.
That's easy money because I do the same. So, and I only do like 2 miles. And it's easy. Like I said, it's literally just walk.
Right. But even just other ideas on how families integrate, teach, like whatever it is you guys are doing, I personally would like to see more families,
Yeah.
right? Talk about ways that they implement, because it may just spark an idea to do something, or we may spark somebody else to, kind of do something. So we appreciate you giving us room on your platform. Easy Fix had asked earlier, do you think exchanges like Coinbase are safer now after last year's bank failure, or are they still susceptible to issues if a liquidity crisis occurs this year?
Oh boy, that's a very loaded question because here's the thing. Coinbase has been running fractional reserve Bitcoin banking, so to say, since 2017. The thing is, with them doing that, they have all of the controls and mechanisms in place, just like Robinhood, just like some of these other exchanges, where if it's too much volume, they just shut it down. And we all know the meme of Coinbase. I've even put it out there myself. There's only 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and Coinbase shutting down when the price goes up. So those are certain things. With Coinbase, I think it's going to continue to happen just like it does with other exchanges because of the volume. However, what they do have is protection. And because they are the liquidity pool for BlackRock, they have to move it through BlackRock, GBTC, and BlackRock. They have to move it through Coinbase in order for them to put it 1-to-1 with your ETF. I think that actually makes them legitimate because you ain't messing with BlackRock's money. You ain't messing with Fidelity's money, GBTC. Like you're not going to mess with their money. So I think by Coinbase IPOing and becoming sort of the standard traditional finance version of what they want Bitcoin to be, they're protected. So even though you may have shutdowns, you may have some issues, I don't see Coinbase going away simply because there's too many hands involved at this point. And I think there's too many important people to have their hands involved to let it shut down for good or to let something happen to it overall. However, I've seen some black swan events, boy. We ain't see COVID coming. I mean, we ain't see certain things happen, and that could be something that brings it down. Watch out for Tether as well, because that could be something that temporarily brings the market down. But as we know, long term, it won't matter. Even if Coinbase stopped existing tomorrow, Bitcoin's gonna be here forever. So it is what it is. So don't worry too much. And remember, I am Mr. No Keys, No Cheese. So you know me, I got an old video from 2018, how to get off of Coinbase is on the channel. So I've been
That's
talking about them for a long time. They kicked me off in 2016. So I already saw the writing on the wall way back then.
Mm-hmm. Keenan asks, what do you think about Bitwise posting their Bitcoin ETF address?
Oh yeah. So in the name of transparency, that's good because they're basically showing the other ETFs, hey, we have transparency, and like you said, game theory is going to kick in where people are going to be like, hey, why is this ETF fully transparent, but you guys are just telling me I have this Bitcoin? Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to be transparency like Bitwise, where they show you how much Bitcoin they actually have. Then you're going to have the paper Bitcoin, where they're telling you individually you have 50,000 worth of Bitcoin, or
Yeah.
investment wise, you have 100,000 worth of Bitcoin. But if you ever tried to take out the Bitcoin, you can't because it's cash in, cash out. So they don't ever really have to have the Bitcoin they showed you until they try to cash out, which could be, they could delay it. They could say, oh, well, give us 48 hours, or they could, find liquidity from somewhere else and not have a liquidity crunch. So I love that Bitwise is doing that because that's going to spark a question where people are saying, they're transparent, you're not. Why not? And they're going to have to answer those questions. And it is hilarious that people are sending Bitcoin to that address to over collateralize it. Like they basically, it's so Bitcoiners are hilarious. Like it's so funny. As soon as they posted the address, people were sending like somebody, the old meme of 69 and 420 69, and people were sending like satoshis or whatnot. But they're basically over collateralizing Bitwise, which I think is pretty funny and also very smart because they were transparent from the beginning. I think they're going to attract a lot of customers that way.
Oh, that was a great move then.
Yeah.
NCB said, do you think if Trump gets in there, there's a chance for Hester Pierce to become the next SEC chairman?
Well, it's a chance, yeah. The thing is, I'm not sure if Hester Pierce is really qualified to be the SEC chairman at this point. But just based on, I've met her in person, I've spoken with her loyalty, or this is what I'll put, her riding the fence is not good in politics.
Mhm.
You got to choose a side. We can,
Yeah.
ride the fence because we can see it, but she rides the fence too much. She wants to help the SEC. She also wants to act like she's Bitcoin mom, like she has our best interest. So I think they're going to say, you know what, we're good. I want a company man or a company woman, like Gary Gensler is out there, knocking heads, or I want somebody like before him, like Jay, whatever his name is, Jay whatever. I want somebody that's going to knock heads. So I think Trump would choose somebody like that over her. If she does get chosen, it may be in the interim, or maybe just to get out Gensler and then maybe bring somebody else in. But I think because she's waffled too much, that's not the type of person Trump will hire. But hey, I'm not in politics. I don't know. I know as a CEO, I wouldn't want her because who knows? Tomorrow she could be playing the Bitcoin mom role, but then today she's gonna come in and act like she's with us, and it's like, I just say somebody that's all for us. So that's what I think. And then knowing Trump's personality, I mean,
Yeah.
he ain't going for that. So yeah, I could see him hiring somebody else.
You have anything else, babe?
Well, I had the last two questions. I don't want to keep you too long. One question I wanted to ask you about is we talk about a lot on this show, BRICS nations, BRICS Plus,
Yes.
and people wanting to have settlement in U.S. dollars, trying to usurp the U.S. dollar with different currencies, and then they have a big talking point about CBDCs. Do you think you would ever see a point where maybe BRICS nations would want settlement in Bitcoin?
I believe you will have that at a smaller scale at first, because most of these countries that are in BRICS, they have Bitcoin. So like Russia and China, they have their own Bitcoin, which they I think they're using as a backup plan B, so to say, just in case they do want to have settlements in Bitcoin. So I think overall they will use it at some point, but it'll be on a smaller scale, simply because even though Bitcoin is great, it's not great for them. You know what I mean? Like it's good enough, but it's actually good for individuals. As a state, it may not be good for them because their currencies are strong, the ruble strong, and you want to maintain that dominance. And honestly, I think they'll do whatever it takes to get the U.S. colonial military system out of their way. And the dollar is the main way to do it. So we can devalue the dollar if we can make it so that trade we leave them out. It may not happen for a long time, but I would not be surprised if they are actually making trades using Bitcoin as a settlement layer at a smaller scale. I don't know if it'll be, full broad, our entire imports and exports are being settled in Bitcoin. However, I do think at a certain point people will value what you have in Bitcoin, so they'll have to settle that in their own way.
Mm. Okay, well, last question I got for you, and I'm get out of here on a lighter note.
Gotcha.
Shout out to the Jump Out girls, and that's
Mhm.
as a person who is a staunch advocate for Bitcoin. Do you
Mhm.
have situations of what we call pocket watching?
Oh boy.
Oh boy, I got some stories about that. Yes. Yeah,
I know
so
the
it doesn't.
pocket watchers out there.
Oh yeah, it doesn't happen. I've been, over the course of, I've been asked a bunch of times like how much Bitcoin you have, how much Bitcoin. That sort of died down. 'Cause, at a certain point, I'm like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about it. But yeah, I would say most of the pocket watching has actually come from family and friends, where
Yeah.
they're like, hold up, yeah, you've been in Bitcoin for like 10 years. Hold up,
Mhm.
how much Bitcoin do you have? And I'm just looking, I'm like,
Like, it in the Bitcoin community, I told her, I said, "Isn't that an improper question?"
But it's like
yeah,
asking how much money do you have in your checking account right
that's
now?
what I'm saying. That's the first rule of Fight Club. Is
The-
you
Let
don't
me
talk
see your
about Fight
ATM
Club.
receipt.
Yeah, that's the first thing about Bitcoin. You don't talk about how much Bitcoin you have. It's a security
Right.
risk. It's a health risk. It's a everything risk, which is, again, like I said, most people, they're just interested in knowing if you're actually making money from it or if it's actually improving your life. And I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I had some family members that were doubting me for a while, and then I moved to Beverly Hills, and they were like, "Hmm,
Uh-oh.
you might have been right about you might have been right about some stuff." Or people that see me self fund book tours or self fund the summer camp or self fund everything I've done, and even our channel, like self funding all the equipment and everything, doing it ourselves. They're like, "All right, well, you must have something going because you don't want
Right.
other people's money." And I try so hard to not accept others' money, and we've been approached by a lot of people investment, but that's the only reason why I'm as free as I am today is because I don't owe anybody. So, and none of y'all invested in me, 2013. So I almost don't even want to accept the money, but even if they do come along, so when people pocket watch, I just give them the blank stare. Like I said, it's like asking how much money in your check account.
Go on and
I'm,
sign on to your ledger. Let me
I'm
see.
broke, baby. I'm broke.
I'm broke.
Oh, hey, there you go. I'm broke, baby. Money Mitch. He
Buddy
told you
Mitchell.
he
Yeah.
was broke, baby.
He had on that nice watch. All right, Zay, we thank you so much for your
Yes,
time
indeed.
today. And I'm going to tell you, we absolutely enjoy being part of the platform and helping. And our show, we tell people all the time, is more than just accumulating the sats. It's a whole
Mhm.
lifestyle thing and
Yeah.
mindset and so on and so forth. So we really appreciate you giving us the freedom
Mhm.
to talk about the things that I think are important to our community and others. And
And
we
last thing I would like to mention, between you and King Bless, if you ever guys find yourself in Mexico City or decide to come down here, let us
please
know so
let
we
us
can
know.
we can link up and do a actual event
Yeah,
live.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
we can do.
Well, I actually on my actual database of cities to go to, Mexico City is on there because I would do want to link up with you guys and do a full event
Yeah,
and actually have people come out. Yeah, so I would love to, man. That would be perfect. Yeah, and
that
and,
invite
and also
stand
thank you
forever.
guys. Yeah, and thank you guys for lending your expertise, your experiences, and everything that you know about the Bitcoin market. Because, as you said, I think as far as a Bitcoin family show, you all have the best, and you all have the track record. You all have achieved what you need to. We all have the content. You know what I mean? Like you've been here, you've been doing it, and once we take it to another level with TGOC Network, or we're actually thinking about rebranding it. I'll throw that out there for people. We want to keep the Gentleman of Crypto just a show. But whatever network it's on, I definitely want to make sure we push you out there because I think your message resonates a lot with people who have the same issues you had, where it's like, well, we don't, I'm single, I'm solo trying to do this out here. So I love that. I appreciate you guys for that.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You guys, y'all know where to catch Zay at Monday through Friday, 10ish,
Hmm.
here on the Gentleman of Crypto, which is going to be rebranded, he just said.
Yeah.
So we will keep you guys abreast of that. Hopefully, we're abreast of it too, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a big round table. Well, I'll give you all more details, but we'll have a round table.
Oh,
We're gonna
most
discuss
definitely.
stuff soon.
And then
So
the email that I sent you, use that email because he don't. I do everything.
Oh, see,
I'm his production
Yeah.
assistant,
I see
personal
this.
See,
assistant.
this
you
shot
just
across
lost
the
you
back.
just lost a
Oh,
gift.
okay.
You just
All
lost a
right.
birthday gift. February 10th gonna be real light.
I do it all, Zay. You come talk to me.
That's
I got
that
you. I
duty.
appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right, you guys. And we hope you guys have a fantastic Thursday afternoon. We're going to go celebrate the birthday boy.
All right, I got some hornitos too on the deck, so we'll see. Let's see if
Oh,
I
I'm about to
make
go
that
take a shot. I'm about to go take a shot for you right now, player. It's all
Thank
good.
you so much.
I'm finally done
We'll
with meetings
see
for the week.
y'all.
I
We'll
see
be
you.
back on again live, you guys, Saturday at 1. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Cheers.
Zay, stay on. Don't hang up right yet.